Standing behind me is the John Marshall residence, which was home to the first Illinois State Bank in 1816. It is an old Shawneetown and has been visited by Lewis and Clark, Abraham Lincoln, and many others, as it was his main stop for immigrants in the early 1800s. Today we hope to correct a few misleading myths about the first Illinois bank. Today we are stepping back in time to the first state bank of Illinois. John Marshall opened the bank on December 26, 1816 in his family home, after realizing the need in the ever-growing Shawneetown, Illinois. Although originally built as a home, the Marshalls dedicated a room to the bank. This was the first territorial bank and the first state bank of Illinois. The original home was a wood structure, but eventually the brick structure was built on the levee. The well in the front yard is actually marked as one from which Abraham Lincoln and Marquis de Lafayette drank. Interesting fact, Abraham Lincoln worked from the Posey Building Law Office in downtown Shawneetown, Illinois. So we'll make our way into our first room, which would be the dining room. She's going to tell us a little bit about what it actually would look like. I see she has a few pieces around that kind of resemble some things in the house, so I'll let her tell it.
All right, hi, thanks. So we're in the John Marshall Home Bank Museum here in Old Shawneetown, and we came in the back doors. The home faces the levee, and you originally sat on the levee, but there was no levee. So this home was built as a home for John and Amira Marshall and their children, and this was the dining room. The kitchens were separate at that time. It would have been a separate building, and you would have gone out this door probably through a little breezeway.
Right.
And when they moved the home from the levee back here, they found remnants of that. So, and that was a fire safety issue.
Right.
So this would have been the dining room where they would have, eaten. There's a fireplace in every room, and that's how they heated the home. The large furniture is because there were no closets at that time. So you had armoires and, big cabinets to hold everything, from linens to clothes to dishes. And with that buffet over here, that would probably have, been in here. You would have put your food, up on there. You just kind of have to think back that, over 100 years ago, they didn't have the amenities, that we did. So,
yeah.
In the next room here is, this is the banking room. And even though this home was built as a home, it did house the first bank in the territory of Illinois. And then when Illinois became a state in 1818, it was then considered the first bank in the state of Illinois, and it was known as the Bank of Illinois.
Believe it or not, Chicago businessmen rode to Shawneetown seeking a loan of a few $1,000s to help the struggling village of Chicago. The directors met and reported, and I quote, "Chicago is too far away from Shawneetown to ever amount to anything." They refused the loan. Most people believe it was the five-column bank that denied this loan to Chicago. However, a recently discovered letter that refused the loan confirms that it was actually John Marshall the businessman came to see and asked for the loan. The denial letter was written in 1838, and the five-column bank cornerstone wasn't even laid until 1839.
Right. So this was the banking room. This is where John Marshall did his transactions, and this is from the time period about 1850, gentleman's business desk. And we do have a lot of different books and ledgers here. And a lot of them, we have a variety of these different ledgers. Tax books, schools, from the schools that were here. So we have some wonderful information that lists all the kids and their grades.
Interesting fact about this room, there's actually a small trap door in the floor, in which would be lifted to hand money down to a cashier that would then place the money into a wooden barrel, as he would spend many nights sleeping, guarding the goods with guns in hand.
Saw people come in and out this door for quite a few years. Wow. Then eventually the big bank was built in 1839 and finished about 1841. It was open, and so the banking moved up to there. And again, it was still called the Bank of Illinois. And even though that was the first building built to be a bank, and so it was known as the Bank of Illinois. And then the Marshalls could just have this as their home again.
Most people believe the big 5-column bank in downtown Shawneetown was the first Illinois state bank. However, the cornerstone for the 5-column bank wasn't laid until 1839, and construction wasn't completed until 1841. The 5-column bank was the first building built as a bank, and that is where the confusion comes in. Once the 5-column bank opened, the Marshall family lived in the original bank building until John Marshall died in 1858.
Behind her is the $3 bill. Information about that.
So, did they print money here?
They used to print their own money. Yes, they did. This is before the federal government, stepped in and said, "Okay, y'all, we can't do this anymore." So too much counterfeiting going on, and other banks not accepting, the specie and things like that. So, but there used to be 1s, 2s, 3s, 5s, 7s, whatever denominations there were there for a while. So, and behind Chris, there is a bank ledger from the Gallatin National Bank. There obviously was more than one bank down here years ago, and the Gallatin National Bank was one of them in about 1873. So that's the bank's bank ledger book. So there were multiple different banks that operated out of that big bank. We've had a lot of items here, donated over the years, and they have some connection, either large or small, to the town, to the bank. This roll top desk was actually in the Thomas Posey building and survived the 37 flood.
Wow.
And the lady that donated it to us, her father used to sit at this desk. He worked for the electric company, and it was out of the Thomas Posey building at one point in time. So there's a little plaque here, and then we also have a card. So Nina Kay, we want to thank her for donating that. Years ago, in the 90s, that seems old now. Anyway, there was an event, a tour called Always a River through Southern Illinois, and we think that this wood paddle boat was carved by someone here locally and probably put on display here in the bank during this Always a River tour. One of the other original things that we have to the bank is we have John Marshall's original 1818 docket from when he was a justice of the peace. Wow. So in that docket is his original handwriting and lists of different transactions, for whatever was going on at that time. And then we also, over in the far corner over here, we've got the first safe that was built for this first bank that we're in. And it's a wood vault, that's what they call it, encased in iron. And it was of its time, it had a special lock, and it took 2 keys to unlock it. Over the years, way before my time and Laura's time, we don't know what happened to the lock. And it hasn't been opened since I've been involved. But that's one of the next things that I'd like to do, is to get a safe man down here, and if he can open it safely.
Right.
For public. I don't even know. Open the safe safely.
Yeah, open the safe safely. And more wonderful history of Thomas Posey, and you can see his picture hanging there kind of askew on the wall. General Thomas Posey. You heard me mention that this desk was in the Posey building. His sons built that 3-story building while he was still alive. He did pass away here in 1818 at his daughter's home, and so he was buried in her rose garden, which then later became Westwood Cemetery.
Wow.
Yeah, but here's the pictures when he's buried out there, and one of the local DAR chapters marked his grave. And so here's the flag and some pictures of that event. So we try to share the history of the people that were here, you know, and the wonderful events that transpired. This county is just full of history. It's amazing.
As it goes.
Again, here's a picture of the John Marshall home on the levee,
Facing
the river, and see this post right here?
Yeah.
This is this post right here.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, there's a picture of it. So now I was telling you, here's the wood frame house.
Yeah.
So this was first, then that,
Gotcha.
then that was gone, and then eventually this gets moved back.
Gotcha.
And so here's a picture from the other side,
Okay.
from over there,
yeah.
so you can see.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's the 2 doors.
Yeah, so you had to do the doors, and so you had to be able to get in there, right? So they, you know.
So right now we would be seeing nothing but land.
Exactly, yeah. This is what the people
Yeah.
are going up. Look, there's dirt. The front doors, you know, sat, and there's been little, you know, chairs and things and
You're right.
all that stuff. But this is the room that Amira Marshall started holding church services in back in the 1820s.
Huh.
And eventually started the first Presbyterian church,
Wow.
and in 1826 with like 7 members. Okay.
Right.
And they eventually built a log church and then built a brick church, and you know, held their services there. And then when the town got moved after the 37 flood, that Presbyterian church was moved into Shawneetown, which is now on the west side of the courthouse. And they still hold church service to this day in the Presbyterian church. But its first beginnings were here.
Yeah.
So there's another first.
Right.
What else? We recently found out that this mirror was a gift to people that were living in the big 5-column bank upstairs, the residence area, and that woman then donated it to the Historical Society. So this used to sit in the 5-column bank.
Wow.
That's why it's so big.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. So that's pretty neat.
And you got your another fireplace.
Yeah, another fireplace, yeah. Here's some pictures of some of the churches inside and out. This is a sewing machine. It's called a Wheeler Wilson. 2 men made these.
Huh.
And it sews left to right, and it's the old pedal treadle, okay? And it has a curved needle, and if we had a belt for it and a bobbin, we could actually sew on it.
Wow.
But it's pretty awesome. We like our 1861 sewing machine.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, that's why some pictures on this table too, a lot of various things. Some of John Marshall and Lewis and Clark expedition. Some documents.
See, here's another historic bank to be restored. Now, so again,
Wow.
here's the stairs we just climbed.
Yep.
So this is
Is that
it
the
up against the
vault?
levee, but you can tell it's in really shape.
Yeah,
The
look
roof
at
was
this.
like,
How rough it is.
yeah, it's bad. We boarded up and stuff.
So what year was this?
The Historical Society bought it in about 68. They started it in 72 and finished it in 74. So it's been here erected on this spot since 1974.
But
Yeah.
was it they said that when that earthquake hit, it pretty much, it was
Yeah,
over.
in 1969 it pretty much toasted what was left of the building, so they had to finish demolishing it.
Yeah, so they had to,
There was no saving it.
yeah.
Yeah,
They had no choice but to do what they had to do.
yeah.
Huh.
See, and here's a little invitation to the opening in 74, and
Wow.
pretty neat stuff though.
Yeah.
And now in the 37 flood, there's people still living upstairs in this building.
Oh wow.
And the stories go that a woman, she was pregnant and she had a child, like a baby, already, about a year old, and they had to bring the boats up to, wherever, I got there's windows somewhere. They said they had to throw the baby out the
Toss the
window.
baby out the window.
And
to
then
the
she
person
had
in
to
the
jump
boat.
into the boat, and they had to paddle west, and she ended up having, giving birth to the baby.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it was bad back in those days. It was cold.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, that was in February. So there was ice in the river.
Yeah.
That was on the ground. So we're upstairs in the John Marshall house, and we're gonna go. As I said, I've read different 6 kids, 7 kids, whatever. We'll go with 7. But the boys shared rooms, and then the girls shared this room, and then this is the master bedroom.
Wow.
So we'll step into the boys' room here.
Okay.
And again, a lot of the items have been donated by different locals around the area, descendants of people that lived here.
Yeah.
So when they finished reconstructing the home here, the decision to try to decorate in the 1830s time frame is kind of hard to stay with. But we try to do our best to, stay as close to that time frame as we can.
Right.
So this bed here, this is a rope bed or a sausage bed, and as you can see, the footboard here looks like a sausage casing.
Yeah.
So hence the nickname sausage bed.
Huh.
But this is a rope bed, and this would have either been filled with straw or feathers.
Right.
And then everything was handmade, all the quilts and
Wow.
everything. So, and again, these have all been donated by
Yeah.
different people. See, there's hardly, they were very sparsely decorated. And that's because they weren't up here except for to sleep.
Right.
They had chores, schooling, church, work, all of that. So by the time they come up here, they were ready to hit the sack. So,
Oh yeah.
so there wasn't a lot left to do but go to sleep.
You got another
Yeah,
fireplace.
and no bathrooms, but
Very clean up half.
every room would have had their pitcher and wash basin, which we would have washed up. You've watched enough movies to see that.
Yeah.
And chamber pots.
Yeah.
No bathrooms, so each room would have had a chamber pot in it,
Yeah.
and every candles. So that was your light, and from the windows. So, and then again, the fireplaces, so there's your heat. So there would have probably been some type of little holder over here in the corner for the wood.
Right.
And here's the other room, that was the boys' room. It's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And again, a similar bed with the rope and feathers. This one does have a feather came out the other day when I was fluffing. Yes,
Wow.
there you go. So,
So they
But
put
again-
their wigs.
yeah, wigs washed,
Look at the clothes. He's a neat piece there.
Like Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think about it, they had to make all that by hand.
Oh yeah.
master bedroom. And what we have in here is a Cannonball 4-poster trundle bed. So this bed, the parents slept here and the little kids slept here. This pulls out and they were under the watchful eye of the parents until they got big enough to behave themselves in the other rooms, you know. So, and then when you were done, then, you know, you slid that back underneath there. And so we have some of the older clothing there on display.
Look out the window.
Yeah. So I'll step over here.
It's my
So
favorite.
again,
Wow. They got the best view.
put yourself back in
Up
to the 1800s, and this building is setting where you're seeing that old foundation. The levee is gone, the bridge is gone, and there's another block and a half of town. There's another street out there.
I noticed on that picture.
Okay, so you saw the map. And there were 3 other hotels on stilts. One down there, one over here, and one up there.
Wow.
So the ferries came in, they got off. The stagecoach came through here.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually we have information that the railroad track came around here on this right here.
And
this
then-
was called Front Street.
Yeah, I was gonna say Front Street, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So yeah, and then we have a christening gowns of one of the mayors of Old Shawneetown here.
Huh.
Yeah, and this is the sleeping gown of his mother. So those were donated to us.
That's awesome.
So we get cool stuff.
Yeah.
I never want to have to iron those again.
Oh, I bet.
Now, so again, you know, here's your lighting. There you
Lights
go.
out.
Lights out. There you go.
Yeah.
And so she's gonna back into the girls' room. So here we are in the girls' room, and they had a couple of girls. Sarah Marshall was their youngest, and their other daughter married to Eddie. And so we, you know, the Henry Eddie home. And anyway, their daughter ended up marrying a Wiederhold, and anyway, on and on and on. But their young daughter, Sarah, was the first published novelist, female published novelist in the state of Illinois.
Oh,
Another
wow.
first.
Yeah, another first. And she wrote Early Engagements and a sequel called Florence. And I found the book online and gleaned a couple pages.
Yeah.
And this is a picture of John and Amira Marshall's daughter, Sarah, in
Yeah.
her later years.
Huh.
Yeah.
Neat.
And she married Mr. John Hayden. They ended up living in Washington, D.C. He was a senator or something, well-to-do and very politically active.
Yeah.
So, but somebody ended up finding a copy of her book and purchased it, so we have it down in our library archives. So again, you see no closets. Now, they more than likely would have had some type of dresser in here with a pitcher and wash bowl, you know, to wash up. They would have also had a chamber pot in here.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Archives. If you're interested in this First State Bank of Illinois, be sure to look below. We will drop some information. I would like to give a special thank to Christy and Laura for dedicating their time to us today. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.